Hello, welcome back to Gimmo's Game Theories. So today, we're going to talk about my theory as to why I think that it's possible that the great journey that the Covenant believe in is actually real and not a delusion. So this is my theory as why I believe that the great journey as believed by the Covenant is real and the Covenant are not delusional. So let's go talk about that and hope you enjoy. So here we go. The Covenant are technically a suicide cult. They are an alliance of alien races that believe that through death, activation of the Halo rings, they will achieve salvation. Essentially, a suicide cult. Now, what is this great journey that the Covenant believe in? Well, the great journey is a belief that this life is corrupt and sinful, and that only through death can you achieve salvation, and this is what a lot of real-life human religions teach. This mortal universe is corrupt and sinful, but once you die, if you're worthy, you will arrive in heaven, a perfect utopia, where you will live forever in perfection. Humanity believes this, and this is essentially the belief of the Covenant pertaining to the great journey and what it is. Now, who says the great journey is a lie? Well, humanity for one. The banished, the heretics from Halo 2, and whoever else has opposed the Covenant. But why do these factions disbelieve the Covenant and the great journey? Well, humanity and the heretics from Halo 2 get their information from the monitors, particularly 343 Guilty Spark, who says that the great journey is a lie because the foreigners did not achieve salvation. They all died when the Halo rings were activated. But remember, only through death can you achieve salvation and enter into the afterlife. But it seems like Guilty Spark would know what he's talking about. I mean, the foreigners created him directly, right? So he should know all about the foreigners' society, right? Wrong! To know why, we must look at a conversation between the Master Chief and 343 Guilty Spark in Halo 3, where Chief seems surprised that Guilty Spark did not know something crucial about the foreigners and the Ark, to which Guilty Spark replied,
"While I had a complete understanding of Installation 04, my makers wisely limited my knowledge of all other strategic facilities. Compartmentalization, in case I was ever captured by the flood."
So here we have 343 Guilty Spark acknowledging that he, as well as all the other monitors, don't have complete knowledge of the foreigners pertaining to military, societal, and even religious inner workings and belief systems of the foreigners and their society. Essentially put, the monitors only know about their particular Halo ring, so they can care for it, and had no or limited knowledge about the foreigners and their society outside of their particular Halo ring they cared for. So, with this revelation in mind about the monitors' compartmentalization, we can come to the conclusion that the monitors are not a reliable source when it comes to the foreigners' religious beliefs. But what about the vast amount of information acquired from the terminals and by accessing the Halo rings? Well, once again, there most likely be compartmentalization on each Halo ring's accessible information so that the foreigners' enemies don't learn all the secrets of the foreigners. Because if the foreigners' religious beliefs were accessible on the Halo ring, then the monitors would have knowledge of them. But they don't, because of compartmentalization. And most likely, the only knowledge about the foreigners that can be discovered on the Halo rings pertains to that particular ring, because otherwise the ring's monitor would know about it, and they don't. So, with this revelation in mind, we can come to the conclusion that not all the foreigners' societal and religious knowledge is accessible from the Halo rings. So that just leaves the grave mine. I mean, why would he lie? Well, the grave mind is like a politician. It tells you what you want to hear or need to hear for it, the grave mind, to accomplish its goal of galactic domination. Take what Cortana said to Master Chief about the flood attack on High Charity and Halo 2, when she said,
"That creature beneath the library, that grave mind, used us. We were just a diversion."
So this points out that the grave mind only tells you what it wants you to hear in order for it, the grave mind, to accomplish its goal. And in Halo 2's case, the grave mind used Chief, Cortana, and Arbiter to stop the activation of Halo 2's Halo Ring and Halo 3's activation of all the Halo Rings, the Halo Ray, from the Ark, so the Flood's food supply didn't die and disappear, and the Flood could flourish once again. But what? You still need more convincing? Well, since you asked, during the Foreigner Flood War, the grave mind used its manipulation skills to trick the Foreigner AI mendicant bias through the use of the logic play to betray the Foreigners, ally itself with the grave mind, which benefited the grave mind in its quest for galactic domination, as it struck a massive blow to the Foreigners' military, which turned the tide on the war in the grave mind and Flood's favor, or at least it did for a while until the Halo Rings were activated, and the Flood's food supply was wiped out, leading to the Flood's defeat. So, in the end, with this knowledge that the grave mind is a manipulator and only tells you what you need to hear or want to hear in order for it to accomplish its goal, well, this disqualifies the grave mind from being a reliable source for the true beliefs of the Foreigners. Oh, and the Banished don't believe the religious beliefs of the Covenant either, simply because Atriox, the founder of the Banished, hates the Covenant, the Prophets, and everything about them because of how they used him and his people, the Brutes, as in the AI Isabel's words from Halo Wars 2.
During the war, the Covenant used his clan as expendable muscle. Told them dying in battle would speed their holy journey. 40 at a time, they carelessly sent them in. 40 to break the front lines. 40 to die for beliefs not their own. None ever returned. Until he did.
There is no symbolic or any other deeper meaning, reason why Atriox and the Banished hate the Covenant, other than because of how he, Atriox, and his people, the Brutes, were used as cannon fodder by the Covenant in their various galactic wars. So, in the end, Atriox and the Banished are not a reliable source either to determine if the Covenant's great journey is fact or fiction. However, is there any actual information to lead to the conclusion that the Foreigners actually believed in a great journey as the Covenant claimed? Well, other than the possible canonical revelations from other sources in the Halo community, there is a blurb in Halo 4 where the Librarian told Master Chief that before their defeat,
The Forerunners made plans for a final great journey.
but nothing more was said on the subject. So, without further information or context, this revelation could potentially lead to the conclusion that it's the same great journey as what the Covenant believe in. However, without context and more information on the subject, it's hard to say if it's the same great journey as the Covenant's or not. Then, there's the idea of, is the Librarian lying? But why would she lie? She's an ally of humanity. Yeah, that's true, but she's also an enemy of the Didact, and in Halo 4, her mission is to stop the Didact, and everything the Librarian does, from telling you historical truth about the Foreigners to excelling Chief's biological evolution in order to make him more immune to the effects of the Composer, we have to take what the Librarian says and does with a grain of salt, as her mission is to stop the Didact. So, like the Grey Mind, the Librarian could potentially manipulate us to achieve her goal of defeating the Didact. Essentially put, like with the Grey Mind, the ends justify the means. So that just leaves the Covenant. Now, would they lie to their followers? Well, absolutely. Like with any cult, the Covenant will lie and deceive any and all races in order to convince them to join the Covenant, therefore growing the Covenant's numbers and military might, therefore making the Covenant stronger as a whole. Another thing cults are known for is creating a hierarchy where the leaders at the top are proclaimed to be holy prophets in order to maintain their tyrannical reign over the cult and its followers. However, with that being said, like with the Covenant, most cults are founded on belief in something perceived to be true through personal interpretation or corruption of something that is actually said or done in real life. In this case, Forerunner artifacts and texts seeming to reveal that the foreigners achieved salvation through a great journey once the Halo rings were activated. And generally the cult, in this case the Covenant, believes so deeply in their revelations that they will blindly follow them. So, in hindsight, the Covenant aren't lying about the great journey to see the masses. They, like all cults, from the prophets down to the grunts, truly believe in the words they preach and their beliefs, which are oftentimes stem from a misunderstanding, misinterpretation of something from real life. Simply put, the Covenant aren't speaking lies and deceiving the masses to purposely lead them astray. The Covenant actually believe 100% that their beliefs are true. However, the aspect that the Covenant's beliefs could be based off a corruption or misinterpretation of foreigner beliefs and scripture and artifacts means that we have to take what the Covenant believes with a grain of salt and understand that they could be believing lies or misinterpretations of foreigners' scriptural beliefs. So, in the end, is the Covenant's belief that the foreigners achieved salvation in some sort of great journey after firing the Halo rings true? Well, it's hard to say without knowing the exact true religious beliefs of the foreigners. All we can do is determine which sources in the Halo universe are reliable and which ones aren't. But in the end, remember, the great journey belief teaches that only through death can someone achieve salvation and enter into the afterlife, a.k.a. death by activation of the Halo rings. And that is what most real-life human religions teach, and likewise what the Covenant teaches. But in the end, like with the actual human afterlife beliefs, the only ones who know if you achieve salvation and afterlife after death are the ones who've died and passed on. This is true for our world, real life, and true in the Halo universe. Only those who have passed on, died, truly know if there is a salvation and a life after death. So, in the end, is the Covenant's belief about a great journey true? Well, only the dead know, and the dead speak no words to the living. So, until we die, I guess we'll never know for sure. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Later!